Uh, my name is Frank Hart. I've lived here for about 4 years. I still remember 9/11 day because of events that happened uh, concerning the people with whom I was living. Uh, I was actually at home working and because my office was in Rockville, Maryland. And so I heard about the planes striking the Pentagon. What I did was I walked outside, uh, looked up the hill, and tried to figure out where I could best find a place at which I could see the Pentagon. And so I immediately started walking uphill, reached the top of the hill on what's called Forest Hills, and then turned left, went down to the end of the street, which was another block. And when I reached the end of the street, I could look out and see the Pentagon from where I was. And the smoke, the fire trucks. What was fascinating was that the Arlington County fire trucks and the Pentagon fire trucks had practiced together. And they were both out there working on the Pentagon itself. Um, then I noticed that there was a large stream of people who were coming from the Pentagon and moving along Army-Navy Drive. So I went back to the up and down street that would take me down to where I lived. And I reached that street, and when I reached the bottom of it, what I discovered was that as the stream of people from the Pentagon were moving along, the people from my association had placed about 6 or 7 card tables out on the street. And they placed pads of paper, pens and pencils there. And as the people from the Pentagon came by, they said, write down your name, the name of your home where you would like to have it called, and the phone number. And we will call them and tell them that we see you, you're okay, and you will be fine. And it was, this was something that lasted for about 30 minutes. And it was fascinating to me to see how a community had gotten together to assist another community in a very difficult time. It's what we do as a people. It was a great example of that. And it's something that I'll never forget. The primary support that we saw that was taking place here along where I live was just this, it's really two things. One of them is you're ensuring that the people who are coming out of the Pentagon are okay in terms of knowing that their relatives will find out about them. And at the same time, when you think of the families that are not living close to the Pentagon and know the Pentagon has been struck, and they've got relatives who live in the Pentagon, who work in the Pentagon, you know that they were worried until they got to the point where they heard something. And so really, it's two groups of people who were assisted and whose life was made better because of that. Now, I think that since 9/11, we're all more aware of how we can help each other at the individual level or the larger collective level. This is not one of these things that you forget about because it affected not only you, not only the members of your community, but really the whole community in this area was impacted. And you can imagine what the flight of that plane looked like as it came, as it headed towards the Pentagon. And I've seen several different versions of it that say that it bounced off of the ground before the Pentagon and then into the Pentagon. And it also made the Pentagon and other groups like that much more aware of things that they may have to address in the future. And so hence much more concerned. I know that they made a number of changes in the Pentagon itself in order to make it more difficult for something like a plane to hit. Because with the strengthened walls that have been placed within the Pentagon, because the Pentagon also has something like 4 internal walls, those walls got strengthened so that if a plane hit it again, it could not do as much damage as that plane did. Actually, I think people would have done even better because we have gone through so many experiences since then, as well as hearing about all the experiences, for example, all the things in Afghanistan and places like that. That's going to, if we get into something that's anywhere like that, we're going to be mentally better prepared to address the situation than we would right now, because that first strike of a plane actually hitting here, that's a shock. But if you've done some of these things before, it's a hell of a lot easier than it was back then.